Hi, biology students. We are now moving forward to Chapter 6. And Chapter 6 is on meiosis and Mendel. And we're going to start first by talking about meiosis. We just got done talking about mitosis, which is cell division. And now we're moving forward and talking about sex cells, which are gametes, and how they have half the number of chromosomes that body cells have. And let's get right into it. There's a lot of definitions. There's a lot of things to copy down. So when we think about body cells, another name for body cells is called somatic cells. So any teacher could say body cells are somatic cells, and we know that they are the same thing. Body cells include things like tissues, body organs, muscle cells, skin cells. Those are your somatic cells. Make sure you write that down. Germ cells are cells in your reproductive organs. So compared to your body cells, germ cells are a little bit different. They're cells in your reproductive organs. So the ovaries or the testes that will develop into gametes. So when we say gametes or sex cells, we mean the same thing. The germ cells are located in females' ovaries, males' testes, and they develop into gametes, the egg and the sperm. Gametes, your sex cells, have DNA that can be passed on to your offspring. Okay, so that's why we have similar traits to our parents, because those gametes were passed down to us. When we're talking about our cells and the DNA and the chromosomes found within our cells, our body cells, our muscle cells, our blood cells, they all have 23 pairs of chromosomes. There is a certain word now. Homologous chromosomes are 2 chromosomes, one inherited from your mother and one from your father. They have the same length and the general appearance. So when we are looking at this picture, we are looking at 23 pairs of homologous chromosomes. They have the similar length and general appearance. Chromosomes 1 through 22 are called autosomes. That's the second bullet point here. The 23rd chromosome is your sex chromosome. X and Y are going to determine the gender of the specific mammal. If it is XX, it is going to be a female. If it is XY, it is going to be a male. And we'll get into that a little bit more here. Now we have to talk about what happens to the chromosomes within the cell. And so body cells are going to be diploid. Okay, that means that they have 2 copies of each chromosome, 1 copy from mom, 1 copy from dad. Diploid cells can be represented as shown, 2N. In humans, the diploid chromosome is number 46. We have 46 diploid chromosomes. Body cells are diploid because if you think about it, 23 pairs, 23 plus 23 is going to be 46 total. Okay, so body cells are diploid. When we think of haploid cells, haploid means that a cell has only 1 copy of each chromosome. So we're talking about 22 autosomes and 1 sex chromosome. So gametes, your sex cells, the egg and the sperm, they are haploid. Each human egg or sperm cell has 22 autosomes and 1 sex chromosome. In the egg, again, the sex chromosome is always going to be X. And in the sperm cell, the sex chromosome can be X or it can be Y. So that means the male is going to determine the gender of the offspring. The female is always going to give the X chromosome. The male determines that gender. So if the male gives another X and it becomes XX, the offspring is going to be female. If the male gives the Y and it's XY is the 23rd chromosome, the offspring is going to be a male. Chromosome numbers must be maintained in animals. So many plants have more than 2 copies of each of their chromosomes. When we talk about mitosis, cell division, and meiosis, we're going to talk about how they are kind of different between each other. And I'm going to show here real quick the differences. So mitosis makes more diploid cells. So again, 2 copies, they're identical to each other. Whereas meiosis makes haploid cells from the diploid cells. And these are only going to occur in our sex cells. Meiosis is going to produce gametes. And let's compare these two. Sorry. I want both. I'm sorry. Make sure that you copy down this chart. So mitosis, producing genetically identical cells results in diploid cells. So every cell has the exact copy. Takes place throughout an organism's lifetime. That means that a human is going to go through the process of mitosis. Our cells are going to go through the process of mitosis until the day we die. And this is involved in asexual reproduction. Remember, in the process of mitosis, there is no need for male and female. It is simply asexual reproduction from 1 to 2. Where then, if we compare the charts, again, make sure you write down this chart, meiosis is going to produce unique cells. Because when we talk about the process of meiosis, they're going to have half the genetic information from mom, half from dad. So that's going to create a unique combination. And that's why you have traits that are similar to your mom and dad, because they have been passed down to you. You are not identical, but you are unique and you have similar traits. This results in haploid cells, again, having 1 copy of each chromosome, half of the information. And then this takes place only at certain times in an organism's life cycle. So only obviously when the egg and sperm connect. And then this is involved in sexual reproduction. Two parents to make an offspring. That concludes 6.1. Let's keep moving forward into 6.2, the process of meiosis. So during meiosis, it's important to know that diploid cells undergo 2 cell divisions. When we talked about mitosis, we talked about how it undergoes the process of prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. It's going to do something similar to that, but it's going to go through 2 rounds of division. And that's why meiosis is reducing the number of chromosomes and creating a lot more genetic diversity. If it only went through 1 division, then you could look potentially identical to your parents. So here's some things to think about. There is meiosis 1 and there is meiosis 2. Each of them have 4 phases, which are very similar to mitosis. You have prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, and telophase 1. Then you have prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, and then telophase 2. When we get talking a little bit more about each of the phases, they do the similar things. Prophase 1, the nuclear membrane is breaking down, very similar to mitosis in prophase. The centrosomes and the centrioles, they start to move to the opposite sides of the cells, and the spindle fibers start to assemble. In metaphase 1, the homologous chromosomes are lining up in the middle of the cell, similar to metaphase and mitosis. The chromosomes are lining up in the middle, same thing here. The pairs of homologous chromosomes line up in the middle for metaphase 1. For anaphase 1, this is a little bit different now. Instead of the sister chromatids separating away from each other, now the actual homologous chromosomes are moving away from each other or separating away from each other. If you can see down here, the picture is showing the homologous chromosome is the entire purple chromosome. That is going to move to the opposite end of the green homologous chromosomes. Remember, they are similar in size and appearance, but they are not identical. Then in telophase 1, the nuclear membrane forms again in some species, and the spindle fibers start to disassemble. And then they would undergo cytokinesis, typically. But this is resulting in a unique combination, which is going to lead us right into meiosis 2. Meiosis 2 is the division of the sister chromatids now. So, if I move, hang on. So this is what I just talked about. Meiosis 1, prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. Take a moment to copy those things down and notice what's happening. Remember, I said homologous chromosomes are lining up in the middle, and now they are separating away from each other in anaphase 1. Meiosis 2. So meiosis 2 is, like I said, the division of the sister chromatids in 4 phases. So now we've got 2 cells. We've got 2 cells with chromosomes in them, and now those cells have to split as well. In prophase 2, the centrosomes, like I said, they're moving to the opposite ends, and the spindle fibers are starting to assemble. So again, it's very similar to the process of mitosis. Metaphase 2, the spindle fibers align and the chromosomes are lining up in the middle, which you can see from picture number 6. Anaphase 2, then, the sister chromatids are pulling apart from each other. They're moving away to the opposite ends of the cell. And then telophase 2, the nuclear membrane is starting to form again around those new chromosomes, and they're undergoing the process of cytokinesis. So here's the picture that I wanted you to see. It was a little ahead, but there's some differences between mitosis and meiosis. And this is now where you can compare and contrast. If you didn't write these down earlier, please do so. Meiosis has 2 cell divisions where mitosis is only going to have 1. In mitosis, homologous chromosomes are never pairing up. And then meiosis is a result of haploid cells, where mitosis, your body cells, your somatic cells, is a result of diploid cells. Here is that chart one more time. And the last slide is just showing how haploid cells are going to develop into mature gametes. Gametogenesis is the production of those gametes, those sex cells, and they differ between females, obviously, and males. So sperm becomes streamlined and motile, and then the sperm primarily contribute to the DNA to an embryo. The embryo then develops into us. Where eggs are going to contribute a little bit more. They're contributing DNA, they're contributing cytoplasm, and all the organelles to an embryo. And finally, I'm trying to get rid of this. And finally, during the process of meiosis, the egg gets most of the contents, and the other cells form polar bodies. Polar bodies, which you see here, at the very end, are cells with a little more DNA than that are eventually then broken down. They have little DNA and they're broken down, and they're produced by meiosis 1, but does not go into meiosis 2. So again, the egg gets most of the contents, and the other cells are kind of forming polar bodies, and they don't go through the second process of meiosis 2. Which then, this concludes 6.2. This is a lot of information, so take the time to go back pause, write things down. Um, vocab terms like uh, meiosis 1, meiosis 2, what's happening between those two. Remembering what is happening between prophase 1 and prophase 2, metaphase 1 and metaphase 2, anaphase 1, anaphase 2, telophase 1 and telophase 2. Also knowing what a homologous chromosome is and sister chromatids and the difference between diploid and haploid, somatic cells, lots of vocab words, okay? Take the time to write all those down. We will practice them later on in the week. If you have any questions, reach out to any one of your biology teachers. They are happy to help. Thank you.